So this video, this topic of discussion was prompted due to me being bombarded for the past week or two with suggested and recommended news articles proclaiming the Nintendo GameCube logo is the greatest video game console logo known to man. It's the best, right? And I was like, is it really the best? Why are people saying this? So I want to get to that and have this discussion with you guys about, video game console logos. Which ones do you like the best? What do I think of these? And, what makes a good logo, right? I think a big part of it is definitely going to also be like what you proclaim as the best is going to be due to your personal experience, what you grew up with, what you're familiar with. If you didn't have a Nintendo GameCube, or it was like before your time, or it was during a time where you didn't really game, it may not mean much to you, right? That goes with any logo here. But at the same time, even some of these logos that I don't really care about the system, I definitely can say are iconic logos. The 3DO as an example. I don't think it's a great logo, but at the same time, being somebody who didn't have one, but being aware of it, if I block out that 3DO part and I just notice the little icons, the shapes there, I know it's the 3DO, right? So it's memorable in a sense, right? Simple, memorable, timeless. Those are what makes great logos, I think. And some of these don't fit that criteria. Some may. Some things like the Atari 2600 and 5200, very simple, iconic. That style, they have that style of font that they use, and then the number, boom. A lot of people remember that. I love the Atari, but I don't go back to the Atari because I don't think the games hold up as well to today. But it was the first console I had, the 2600. So I fondly look at that and remember the games that I played. It stuck with me, right? It's a brand we're still aware of and know about. And then you get to stuff like the Jaguar, which is also an Atari console. And I think that logo is badass, but it's kind of like if you didn't know, like if you just saw Jaguar with the yellow eyes, like what is that, right? I don't know if the logo had Atari branded across it on everything. I know the packaging and whatnot, but if you just saw Jaguar with the eyes, you'd be like, what is that? I don't know. I know it's the Atari Jaguar, and those scratch marks across the R. It's a very cool looking logo. Very cool. I would say it's cooler than the Atari 2600 logo, but I think the 2600 and 5200 logos are way more memorable. Like that's just, I think they're more simple. They're more timeless in the sense that, I don't know, they're just simple and they work. The Jaguar logo is not complicated, but it's really nice. It's just not as memorable. Doesn't stick with me for some reason, but I recognize it, right? Then you got a lot of stuff that I've never, like I'm not going to talk about every logo here, obviously, but a lot of stuff from Japan, consoles I've never played before. I want to get to that GameCube logo and look at that stuff, but things like the ColecoVision using the little rainbow colors, very nice logo. People remember it. It works, right? I always like never had any of these, the Super Acan or FM Towns Marty, but I like their logos. They're simple. They got that little shadow font going on in the background, giving that kind of 3D perspective. They look nice. They work. Some don't work. Some do. Get the stuff like the intelligent television, right? You have to explain the name in the logo. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's a logo I recognize. The name, obviously, Intellivision. Oh, I know what that is. I didn't have one. I had, like I said, the 2600. The Intellivision was hot for a minute, and a lot of people loved it, but then it kind of dipped off after its crazy sales. It just, boom, kind of went away. And then you had the Hyperscan, which was Mattel's final console, and the cousin to the Intellivision Amico. And that logo, while the system sucks, to be honest, I have one sitting right there. Been meaning to do a video on this thing for like 3 years now. Eventually, I'll get around to it. But looking at the box, it's all black with like red accents, and then the logo looks just like that. The little white outline, black background, just kind of blends in. It's not a horrible logo, but not a memorable one. You get the stuff like Xbox, where they've kind of changed it up a little bit over the years. This doesn't go up to the current generation. It goes to like up the Nintendo Switch, PS4, Xbox One. But that's fine because the Xbox and PlayStation 5 logos are, they're not like big evolutions of their previous logos. But Yeah, Xbox, they've always had that B with the little tail coming out the butt, but kind of changing it up a little bit. I think their first logo was more, even though I didn't have the original Xbox, that's a really iconic logo that wound up being, transferred into the future systems as well. What else do we got? Oh, down to Nintendo. This is where I really wanted to get to. I've been a Nintendo fan since the 80s. I love Nintendo. But, looking at Nintendo's logos, I don't think these are the most amazing things in the world. But with how Nintendo established themselves, the logo became iconic. The Nintendo name, right? That's a big part of most of their systems is the Nintendo name with that font. The Nintendo Entertainment System kind of caused that period of time where every video game was a Nintendo. Like, it's Nintendo, right? It was their company and an entertainment system. It was the family computer, the Famicom, in Japan, right? Nintendo's family computer. In the US and most other places, it was the entertainment system. Interesting logo, timeless. It just stuck with us, right? Super Nintendo is an awesome logo, very simple. It invokes nostalgia, experiences, memories of playing those games, right? But then getting down to the GameCube one, the one that a lot of people have been talking about recently, or at least I think they've been talking about it because I keep getting these articles recommended to me. The GameCube. This kind of diverged from a lot of their other logos, but the Nintendo 64 logo is a cube as well. The N, it's a cube, but we'll talk about that in a second. The GameCube. The system was a cube. The logo was a cube. The logo was actually a little cube inside of a bigger cube, and the outline of the cube spelled a G, and then the inside black part spelled the C. GameCube. Some people say they didn't realize that, but I don't know how you didn't. But if you didn't, hey, it's a G and then a C. It's a cube, and then a little cube inside breaking it apart. I think while that logo can kind of bleed into, like blend into things, it's a genius-ass logo. I'm not going to deny it. It's not the most memorable logo to me. It's more genius than any other Nintendo logo, in my opinion. But due to my experiences, it doesn't invoke the same level of nostalgia as, say, the Nintendo 64 logo. The N64 logo, colorful, memorable. You see it, you know what the hell it is, right? You equate that with the Nintendo 64. GameCube logo is the same, but I think the Nintendo 64 logo stands out more to me, but it's not as genius as the GameCube logo. So I think maybe I could say the GameCube logo out of Nintendo logos is the most genius, but not the most memorable for me, right? What else do they have? The Wii and the Wii U are the most horrible logos Nintendo's ever made, in my opinion. The Switch logo is kind of basic. Nintendo Switch with the Joy-Cons, it's memorable. I think that'll stick with people for years to come. But yeah, GameCube logo, genius for sure. Now I'm really like looking at it with these other logos here. It's a genius logo. Just other Nintendo logos are more memorable to me, but not as like genius of a design, right? But sometimes, it's not a complicated logo though. If it's overcomplicated, it could be a bad thing, but it is simple and it works. It's a good logo, man. Let's get down to Sega real quick before we wrap this up, and I really do want to hear from you guys. Now, I didn't have a Genesis growing up, but I do have to proclaim the Sega Genesis logo is freaking amazing. Amaze balls, if you will. Sega's font, their stylized brand name, their company name, boom on the top, Genesis with that font, video entertainment system, all in a badge. That just screamed at you, this shit is serious, man. I love the Genesis logo. I think it's like one of the best logos ever made. That's just me. I grew up more of a Nintendo fan, but hey, I got to give props where it's due, and I think the Genesis logo blows most of these other logos away. My opinion, you don't have to agree, but yeah, Sega had some cool logos, some misses in my opinion, 32X, like whatever. Sega Saturn works, the Dreamcast logo, that swirl is really what makes it, right? I always remember that. Love the Sega Dreamcast. PlayStation, I love that first logo. I like that PlayStation kept just, hey, we're going to keep it simple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But that colored P and then the S, shadow, background, backdrop, whatever you want to call it, PlayStation. I love that initial logo. Very memorable to me. More memorable than any other logo that they've made. Now, they did incorporate that PS into like their other systems. The PS2 had that weird font, and the rest kind of changed it up a little bit, but retained some of the same elements. But that first logo was their best, in my opinion. but they're trying to go for simple, just clean. And yeah, their logos are clean. And I think that's pretty much it. I don't know what the hell a Zebo is, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. I could look at these things all day long, film like 3 hours discussing each and every single logo, but yeah, the GameCube logo, amazing, genius design, but not my favorite logo. Not even favorite Nintendo logo, like one of my least favorites. But I recognize it's genius, man. It's genius. Let me know what you guys think down below. Appreciate y'all. Bye.